Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the nerdiest competition ever created by the Language of Bromance team. In this corner, obsessed with Star Wars and anything with swords, Richard! And in this corner, obsessed with the Ninja Turtles and scared of anything from the ocean, Shawn! In association with the LOB Army. Tonight's competition is a Language of Bromance Draft.
What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And together, we are two people that are speaking the language of, hey, we're here and we don't like each other because we're going to fight.
It's Bromance Draft Day, Richard. And for the 55th time ever, we are going to do a draft. And
God, 55?
Yeah.
Did you just say that?
I can't draft 55! Because that's 50, can't drive, can't draft. Get it?
Oh, I get it. Yeah,
this
like
is
the
why
song.
we fight. So, Richard, what we're going to do today is a minimalist draft. And you're thinking, well, what's that mean? Well, this minimalist draft will be on the entertainment side. So, basically, you're only going to be able to watch, read, play, do these 7 things for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And to make it a little bit more challenging, we're not going to let you do like, I'm going to do Star Wars 1 through 9. No, you're going to have to do these in like trilogies. Or if you're doing seasons, like, a single season of a TV episode. So you can't be like, I want Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. You have to pick the specific season of Dr. Quinn.
Why are you putting all my business out in the open?
I mean, do you want when she first gets there? Do you want when her and Sully
I was
going to
make a joke
about
about Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, but honestly, I can't even remember who played Dr. Quinn because I hated the show even when it was on, and I was like name? 12.
Because she was in Wedding Crashers, and she had her boob job in that.
Oh, fuck, I don't know who the hell it was. Now Shawn's going to look.
No, I looked up Dr. Quinn, and it just took me to my local doctors that are named Quinn.
That's how irrelevant it is.
Jane Seymour.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jane Goodall.
No, we were close. Added together, we had it. Samsonite.
Dr. Quinn, Medicine Monkey Woman.
Apes, Richard. They were apes. But, so, if you don't know what our drafts are, and you should, what they are is they're 7-round NFL-style drafts where we flip-flop picks back and forth. In the first draft ever, we flipped the penny to see who goes first, and I won. So, on odd drafts, I get the first pick. Even drafts, Richard gets the first pick, and this is an odd draft, Richard. So, I get the first pick of this draft.
The Transformers series, just the first 3 movies. Oh, that Michael Bay, how you touch my soul.
You picked it. So, anything before I kick off my first pick, Richard? Anything you want to add in this before we kick off this minimalist entertainment draft?
This is, I guess, this isn't necessarily I guess, when you're thinking about this isn't necessarily like, what is good to you, but it's like it's your rewatchability. I think is rewatchability or replayability is the
yeah. I mean, you have 7 things, so you could probably get through one of these every month and a half. So it's like, would you want to spend a full year on this one, or a full month of your year on this one thing?
Yeah.
So, Richard, for my first pick, it actually kind of dawned on me because one of our friends at Game Day talked about picking this up, and he said that it actually held up. And I agree. I've watched it recently, in the last, I think I watched it about 8 years ago, and then I watched it, in the last, 3 or 4 years with my son. And it is the original cartoon for the TMNT Ninja Turtles Season 1. Now, I know a lot of things from our childhood don't hold up, but I thought they did a great job with the TMNT series because it had basically a full season storyline. It was only like 6 or 8 episodes, but each episode was building on top of itself into going into the next, like basically building up to a big bad. You know, you think of like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1. It was kind of on par with that. You know, it was really short, like I said, 6 or 7 episodes, but it definitely hits on all the nostalgia feels. It's got a good storyline. If I only could watch it once a year, like you could set up like, oh, okay, every Tuesday for this, you know, the next 6 weeks, this is what I'm going to watch. It would hold up okay enough for me to be able to every year watch it at least once.
I felt like when it comes to now we're talking about the Teenage Mutant, we're talking about the cartoon like that I saw when I was a kid, right?
Yeah, it's the 1987, 89 series.
Okay.
Is when it came out.
I will, you know, like I haven't rewatched them or anything like that, but, and this is just going off of my very spotty memory. I do think that it felt like the animation quality was better in there than in later seasons. Like it just felt like it was drawn better.
Yeah, it's funny because the way, I mean, it was originally set up obviously to sell toys, but the first season, I think it was basically you had all the same actors, all the same people, but as you got into different seasons, you know, for one episode, the Turtles may look completely different. It's because it was a different animation group that was working on it.
Okay.
Voices would sound different because they like to record all the people in the studio at the same time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if Uncle Phil couldn't be there because he's the voice of our Shredder,
yeah,
they would bring somebody else in and be like, oh, well, he's off shooting Fresh Prince, so we got to bring somebody else in to do this. You know, same thing with the Turtles or Casey Jones or whoever they had. If the person couldn't be there on the recording, they just bring somebody else in. Now, that doesn't make up for the mistakes of, oh my gosh, that sounds like Michelangelo on Leonardo's body. And I think that happened a lot more in the later seasons. And I mean, obviously, you know, there was a lot of like He-Man and stuff like that already established. So this season was real, you know, the first season was really try to, you know, take this product of a super dark comic that, you know, adults liked and try to market it towards kids. And I think actually like the second and third seasons, they end up having like 52 episodes. Like they're running on a yearly schedule.
Oh, wow.
I've got seasons 1 through 10 in a cool little turtle van. I think I got through season 6 or 7 and I've kind of stopped watching it a little bit because you got to get the DVD out. You got to put it in the DVD player.
Oh my God. So much work.
It is. It's like, gosh, come on. Can't I just get this streaming?
Like seriously, not going to lie, because I have Buffy. I have seasons 1 through 7 of Buffy and also seasons 1 through 5 of Angel. And those are all on DVD and not, you know, and I'm not going to lie. Like if I'm scrolling through Hulu and I'm like, oh, it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I'm like, well, I have all these. But I got to get them out. I got to put them in.
So you won't watch it on streaming or like out of like, well, I can't watch it here because I've already got it.
No, but I will say that like I'm like those DVDs are definitely, I think it's more just the accomplishment of saying that I have seasons 1 through 7 on DVD.
That is pretty impressive.
Like that's like that, and that's honestly what it feels like. It feels like the only reason I have them on DVD right now, like the only reason I have them physically in my house is so that way I can say I have seasons 1 through 7.
There's been like little pieces of me that wants to get them on digital just because it'd be so much easier to watch them with the kiddo. But I've held off on that. I don't know what they are digitally, how much they cost, but
yeah, I don't know. Well, and Buffy was kind of weird because I know that there was like this big backlash because they didn't do letterboxing on the DVD version.
Oh, okay.
But the reason they didn't, and this was a Joss specific thing, is he didn't do letterboxing because that's not the way it was originally shown.
Oh, I got you.
He felt like it was, you know, like they shot specifically for television which is at a certain aspect ratio. So when you letterbox it, he felt like the image would get too squished and look distorted.
Oh, well, that's good. I kind of like whenever they have a little bit of integrity with it, where, because, you know, if I didn't see it live, I want to watch something as if it was live. Because alternate endings, I hate alternate endings on stuff.
Yeah.
Like when you get a DVD.
Well, and also with a lot of things, music is different. Like I know, I don't have any of them, but I know like The West Wing, for example, like there's music that's on The West Wing on the streaming services that isn't on. If you owned like the DVD set and if you watched like the DVD set and you watch the streaming version, the music sometimes will be different because licenses has expired.
Oh, like I hate that because it just changes the whole, like, you know, your version of The West Wing would be different than my version of The West Wing because of the music I listen to.
I don't know if that's like, I haven't watched any Buffy, for example. I haven't watched any of that streaming, so I don't know if it's different. But like with Ninja Turtles, like it's not like they were playing like top pop songs in that show. Yeah. So,
but yeah, something I'd love to have as my minimalist entertainment would be TMNT, the original season 1.
Okay. Well, for my first pick, I'm gonna go with not what you think I'm gonna go with, because I think right now my main picks are relatively safe. So I'm gonna try and go for a steal. I am gonna go with Buffy since we've been talking about it. I'm gonna go with season 5.
That is the season she dies, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying. So, what all happens in that season? Remind me.
Okay, so episode 1, Dracula shows up, like the Dracula.
Dracula?
And he's like a fucking rock star. Like all of a sudden, like she's like, oh, he's like, oh, please forgive me, I'm Dracula, and she's like, get out,
because she says something like, are you the Dracula? Because I've like killed like 30 Lestats.
Yeah. See, it's in there. That's how iconic that season was. Okay. Also, I feel like out of all the villains she had throughout career wise, the villain for season 5 I felt was the best.
Yeah, and you get the icon like that. This was the season where I had just turned 16 because I had watched all these live. And so
I didn't start watching them live until season 5.
So yeah, so the first half of season 5 I watched because in January I turned 16. I started working, and so when I was working, it was the Mondays that Buffy came on. So I'd catch it here or there. But I remember watching the season finale of this because it was the god who would flip back and forth between her and her brother, right? And the scene where he's all bloody and Giles walks up to him and is talking about like, oh, she won't kill you because of this and that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, that's good. He's like, yeah, but I'm not her, and like smothers him.
Yeah, he's like, fuck. No, she's a hero. She's not like us. And he's like, what do you mean us?
You're like, oh shit, Giles is a badass. But that's like, I didn't really understand a lot of TV and stuff like that, like the back end. And, she dies. And I'm like, but I just heard they have season 6 coming up. What the fuck's going to happen now?
Right.
And she saved the world a lot, Richard.
She did. Well, okay. So season 5, you have, like I said, I feel like the best villain was season 5's villain because I felt like she was Buffy's equal, if not superior. Like all the villains throughout, are obviously like powerful and, they have their first fight and they beat the ever loving shit out of her. But this one was kind of different because this villain consistently beat the shit out of her up until the very end. And also I felt mirrored her in a lot of ways. She dressed nice. She looked nice. It was, the whole premise of the show is a very, feminine, positive message. That's, I felt like that's, a running theme of the show. And so to have a, powerful feminine villain for this season was, I like I said, I kind of felt like it made her a much more worthy rival than what you've seen previous or after.
Was that the only female big bad? I'm trying to remember.
That's what I'm trying to think of.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you
want to count Willow at the end of 6, but
yeah, 6 didn't really. I mean, it had the group of guys as kind of the big bad, but 6 was weird. 6 really, 6 was one of those where the first 2/3 of it is this is kind of slapsticky and kind of wacky races with Dick Dastardly, and then all of a sudden Willow's girlfriend gets shot and it goes from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Why is she all veiny?
Yeah, that's true. And then I don't know. And honestly, after 5, I'm if we're being honest, I felt like season 6 and 7 were kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, 7 really kind of felt that way to me because there's the whole Spike thing, and it felt like they just didn't they just couldn't get their momentum back up when they switched networks.
Yeah.
The only bad thing about season 5 is you're going to have to keep reliving Buffy's mom's death because that's in that season.
Yeah. But in terms of the way that episode was done, I think was really impressive because there's no music in that entire episode.
There's no supernatural stuff to it. I always feel like the killing piece to me in that is she shows up, she sees her mom, and she has this all of a sudden it cuts to the EMTs show up and they're like, oh my God, if you showed up any moment later, she'd be dead, but you saved her. And I feel like that's in any moment I've ever had, you get a phone call or something like that, you always let your mind drift into that moment, the happy moment, where it was ooh, it was a close one, but we're okay. But then it kicks right back in, and I think that's when she performed CPR or something like that, and the whole realism of the rib cracking and stuff like that, and it's just that, and no supernatural stuff at all.
No, none.
Very human, just a thing. Was it an aneurysm, right, or blood clot?
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
But I was actually thinking you'd do season 3 because I always thought you said season 3 was your favorite.
Okay, so honestly, if we're talking about if some of my favorite episodes were actually probably more in 4, because in 4 you had the dream episode at the very end, which was really, really good. Yeah. The very last, it was the finale of season 4.
Was it when they graduated high school though? Wasn't that season 3?
That was 3.
But I thought the dream was in 3.
No, the dream one was in 4. It was at the end of 4. It was the very last. It was the finale of 4.
Okay.
Because they beat the evil government agency and kill the cyborg looking freak thing in 4, and then that's the penultimate. And then at the very last episode, it's this dream sequence where they're going from, person to person.
Yeah, I guess I always feel like that's after the high school one because that feels more fitting for a high school ending episode, not a freshman year of college one. I think that's why I always get thrown off on that.
But yeah, that was probably one of my favorite. That was I'd say probably okay. So you have that one. You have Hush. Hush was in season 4, but while those were my favorite episodes, singular. If you're asking me if we're talking about a season, this one had the overall best arc.
Does her sister show up in season 4 or season 5? Is it 5? Okay. Because I knew she was the key, but I can never remember if it was the previous season or
and that was the thing is remember when that happened and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, because I was like,
did I miss something?
Are they retconning stuff? I hate when they retcon stuff. This isn't canon.
But yeah, I would say that this season 5 had the best overall arc.
Okay.
While season 4 had probably my 2 favorite episodes, season 5 is one I could watch from start to finish a lot easier than the others.
Yeah. I think I could go with season 3, just because it's kind of that end of high school, and it's a little bit. I feel like when they go to season 4, like the cinematography changed a little bit, and it's a little bit more cleaner.
Season 4 is definitely shot a bit more cinematically.
Yeah, and season 3 kind of has a little bit more gritty kind of look to it.
They kind of have their money. You know, they're able to get their money in 4.
Yeah, and plus season 3, Faith.
True. Well, Faith's in 4 too.
She's in bits and pieces of 4.
Yeah, she's in like 2 episodes of 4.
But you get
Plus in 4 they had they kept crossing over with Angel.
I did enjoy that too. That like was like blowing like 15, 14-year-old Sean's mind. Like, oh my God, we have to watch both episodes because they're crossing over.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Remember, also in season 5, there was the episode where Spike they go through Spike's story about how he killed the other 2 Slayers.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's a good episode, and that crosses over to a little bit with Angel.
Yes, it does.
I think it's more the flashbacks, but you're like
flashbacks cross over because in Angel they do the same kind of flashbacks just from a different perspective.
Yeah, because you see Spike coming out in Angel, and they're like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "He just killed a Slayer."
Yeah,
in Buffy, you actually see it happen.
Yeah,
God, that's one of the shows like I'm excited for when my son gets old enough to watch it, because I remember you said it still holds up.
Oh, it definitely does. 100% does. I mean, I would say like the first, definitely more the first season feels a bit more the first season feels a bit more dated than what, you know, than the later seasons. But once you get past season 1, it doesn't really feel that way. The episodes are still good, but just like there's a bit more timely references in season 1, I feel. But yeah, so there's my first pick that we just spent 20 minutes on is Buffy, and it's season 5.
Well, you can never spend enough time on Buffy, but
that's true.
For me, Richard, for my second round pick, you're probably going to be a little hated on this, but and I don't know if you'll let me do the whole series for this or if I have to pick a specific book, but I want to go with A Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones books. Now, if you said, Sean, you can take all of them, I would love to have all of them, but
you know what? You can go ahead and have them. You can just have them.
The main reason too is not just because it's like it's the books, but
provided you don't talk about Lady Stoneheart at all.
Oh, I won't mention that.
Like if we're on a desert island and all you have are these, and you have these books, you're not allowed to talk to me about Lady Stoneheart one iota. Can't mention it.
Well, the thing too, so like if I go through and I finish all these, because I'd finish at Dance of Dragons, I wouldn't have any more. You'd be like, hey, you want me to spoil the ending for you? The dragon lady does it.
The end.
You know, I've read all the way through Dance of Dragons so far, because that's all that's out. And I think these are very sophisticated books that, like, I know my first read through, I haven't gotten probably 60% of
they're
what's
what?
in there.
Like they're like what, 1,200 pages a pop?
Oh God. So first one's 694, then 768, 973, 753, and then over 1,000 on the next one.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're looking at there's almost 2 million words, and you know, if like, okay, this is all I have for, you know, the year, going through with almost like a fine-tooth comb and trying to like basically like a madman find all these hidden references would be a lot of fun. That, like, you know, like right now there's so much entertainment, so much content that, you know, I've read them once, that's good enough for me. But if this is one of 7 things that I have, I would probably spend a lot more time trying to identify those things. You know, because there's like hidden dream sequences where they reference back to other characters. And, you know, again, getting to the end and not knowing what the actual ending is would be super frustrating. But having the time to kind of dissect it up to that point would be a lot of fun. Not really much to say about it besides just being able to dissect it.
You know what? I'll even give you a pen and a paper, and then you can write the ending.
You're like, but it has to be 10,000 pages.
Yeah. And Lady Stoneheart can't be in it.
What happens to ladies? Oh, damn it. Gotta cross that out.
Sentence 1, chapter 1. So Lady Stoneheart's dead. ... Anyway, on with the rest of the story.
Perfect. So yeah, my second pick, I'm gonna go with the Ice and Fire series.
All right. Well, Shawn, I gave you a pen and paper to finish your books. I'm also going to need a pen and paper, and that's so I can finish this trilogy of movies. I'm going with this one over other ones because I felt like this one was the more cinematic of the series. Shawn, I'm gonna go with the Nolan Batman trilogy.
Ugh, you can have it.
I know. But like I said, I need a pen and paper so that way I can watch the first two and then write a better third one.
Yeah. You're like, okay, we're not going to go forward 15 years and Batman's got a broken leg.
But I think this is a testament to the fact that I liked the first two movies so much that I'm willing to eat it on the third one.
That's a good point. I mean, that felt like such like the cock tease of movies in my entire life. And I think that's what frustrates me because the first one is like, it's a really good movie.
The first one's solid.
Yeah.
And as far as like origin stories go, like, yes, I have to see Thomas and Martha get shot again. Okay. Like, I get it. Like, we got to do it, but fuck, like, did we really have to? But whatever.
No, but yeah.
But this time we get, I would say this is the, we get, where did he learn how to fucking do all these crazy fucking ass ninja moves? Hey, where did he learn how to be Batman?
Well, and what's cool about that is like, so I'm not like, especially then I wasn't well versed in the Batman like mythology. Mm-hmm. So it's like Ra's al Ghul. Well, who's this guy? Well, he's a bad guy, but you don't know that yet. Yeah. And there's the League of Shadows. And there's all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just like after that first one, it's like, all right, well, let's get on with it. And then the second one starts up and you're still like, hey, I'm still kind of learning how to be Batman. And now there's this Joker guy and it's not Commissioner Gordon yet. And you're like, fuck, just let's get on with it. Like, let it be Batman.
Oh, I feel like he was Batman by the second one.
I mean, about midway through, maybe.
Because by the second one, you had people dressing up as Batman.
That's true. Yeah. And I think if you had the ability to rewrite the third one and put the Joker in it, like I think they intended for it to be.
And also, really like, good. Consider that, like, it was at the point that, like, if I was okay, let's say hypothetically, it's a short leap, but let's say I'm Batman, okay? If I'm at the point where I could just fucking like drive my car around remotely and scare the ever-living fuck out of people.
That's a good point.
Why don't I just do that?
You just put it on like a Google Maps, like automatic driving.
Yeah, it's like a Roomba, but for bad guys.
Yeah, like, oh shit, here's Batman. It's like he always drives by here at the same time. And I saw his bat plane.
On the button. Here he comes.
And, Killer Joe just said across the river that his bat plane was driving by. He can't be in two places at once.
Wait a minute.
Meanwhile,
I don't know if he's in that. Oh, shit, he blew up a building.
Don't be that building. Don't piss off the Batmobile.
And also, like, by the second one, he also almost had, like, he basically had, like, the full cooperation of the police department.
Yeah, a little bit. No, because there was still some bad apples in it, but that's always kind of the Batman mythology is that there's a couple corrupt cops. I think I would have just felt better if at the end of the first one, they made him Commissioner Gordon and they kind of established that because, the whole time through the second one, I'm waiting for that part. And it's like right at the end, I think he becomes Commissioner Gordon.
It's like about like...
I thought it was like one of the last
It's
scenes.
like 75% of the way through, yeah.
Because it's after, I think, when Two-Face is killed and then...
It's right before... It's right when they capture Joker and he's in jail.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because he does the clap thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I didn't like that Two-Face became Two-Face like right at the end. And then I know they have to do it, but I always hate whenever like, because they did the exact same thing. And I think this is why I kind of had a sour taste, because in Spider-Man 3, which is an awful movie to begin with.
Yeah.
They got Venom right at the very end, and then they got rid of him. I'm like, no, that's his big bad. And then in this, what happened is like he becomes Two-Face right as he dies. And you're like, oh, like that's your big bad. Like keep him around.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I guess as much as I will say that, like, I was not a fan of the way. I wasn't a fan of the way The Dark Knight ended. However, I feel I can't think of a better way to end it, because if you take everything in that movie that I like, the only conclusion that movie can come to is what it came to.
Yeah, it just, I mean, again, the third one kind of spits on. Not
oh
spits
God,
on,
then yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I have to write a completely new third one,
because it just felt like a reach to be like, that they thought Batman did it, and they're trying to make Batman a bad guy. Like, it's this, I kind of get it, but I don't. And I mean, it's because Nolan's smarter than me, so I guess that's just what I have to. He made a space movie that involved family love and like time travel. So
yeah. Although, like, and I'm not, we're weeks, if not months, away from it. But have you seen the trailers for that movie Tenet?
I saw the first one because it almost looks like Time Cops.
It looks fucking. Again, I feel like it's going to be one of those movies that I'm going to have to like sit and fucking try and figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like it's with Nolan. I always feel like he tries to outsmart the room. It's like you watch it. He's like, "Oh, I got you," because they're, that book that fell out.
I agree. I mean, I feel like that's the point with the writing. But to be fair, he does make visuals to back up what he's writing.
I mean, they're all pretty, yeah.
I mean, it looks like Inception with the big spinny room.
I haven't watched it. I need to watch Inception. I haven't watched it for a reason.
It's like you watch it and you can, as soon as, by the time you're done watching, you're like, this is totally a Chris Nolan movie. But it's the way, but it's shot brilliantly. Like, he doesn't like the visuals support what he's writing, I guess is the best way I can.
No, yeah, I get that. I guess I'm just kind of, I don't know. I have a little bit of a kind of, everybody's like, oh my God. It's kind of like, the guy.
Oh, I don't. Yeah. I know what you're saying. I don't believe he's like, some sort of,
cinematic genius.
Yeah, exactly. Some sort of like Einstein of film that's come to bless us from his mountaintop on high.
Yeah, it's kind of like Tarantino. I feel like Tarantino kind of falls in that like little bit overhyped.
I don't think he's in the list of like the greatest filmmakers of the last like 20 years. Like, he's on the list, but he's not. I'd say he's in the top 10. But not the top 5.
Yeah, I could buy that.
That's where I put it.
All right, then, Richard. I'm not sure if this is going to be a steal or not, and then it may not even be on your list. But for my third round pick, when I'm thinking of trilogies, this is one I know a lot of people don't care for the third one, but I love the third one, and the first and second one are held in high regards. Richard, for my third round pick, I want to go with the Back to the Future trilogy.
Ooh, okay. You know what? I actually just rewatched all 3 of these 2 weeks ago.
I haven't watched them in years. So tell me, how do they hold up?
The first one is a near pitch perfect movie.
Which I could get, because it was going back to the 50s from a perspective of somebody from the future.
Well, and also with the first one, again, and I've said this so many times, but like, time travel fucks everything up. So, are there slight holes in things when you're talking about things like time travel, are there slight plot holes? Yes, but Back to the Future is to me a near pitch perfect movie. It's succinct. It doesn't over explain. It doesn't over tell a story. It tells it's paced right. It's shot right. It's acted really well. I've seen the footage of oh God, what was the guy's name?
Oh, I don't remember. Yeah, somebody they had before Marty McFly or before Michael J. Fox.
Oh fuck. Oh, that's gonna bother me. But yeah, there was a guy that was originally playing Marty, and then he fell out of the picture. They just didn't. They didn't like the way that the actor was portraying Marty, and it was nothing against the actor. It was just he had an idea, the filmmakers had a different idea. But they had shot all the 50s stuff.
Oh, I didn't realize they shot all that.
That's how. Yeah, they had been like we're talking like there were like 5 weeks into shooting when they replaced him.
Oh wow! Because I know I've always seen or I've caught like stills of them at the mall. Like
no, there's footage.
Yeah, I know but I mean like basically it's like, oh, see the original person. It's like a still. I've never clicked in it to watch, but the still they always show is from the mall with him next to the car before it takes off in the back. I didn't realize they did the 50s stuff.
Eric Stoltz. That's the name that was escaping me. Okay, and so the studio wanted Eric Stoltz as Marty because at the time Eric Stoltz had another movie coming out, which I think was Mask. He had Mask coming out, which he was pretty much almost guaranteed an Oscar nomination for.
Oh yeah, that was the one with Cher, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so they felt like putting him in the movie and the Oscar nomination for Mask would give them some extra press for Back to the Future. But like I said, 5 weeks into shooting, it just didn't, Robert Zemeckis just felt like, and Spielberg just were like, we have nothing against the guy. It's just that like, his character's not working for the tone of the movie we're trying to make. And like I said, Shawn, we're talking, this is 5 weeks into filming.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Like I said, I just thought they only did a little bit of it. I didn't realize they went that far.
Yeah, so then they brought in Michael J. Fox, and then they reshot the entire movie. So scrapped 5 weeks, which is basically like almost half your shooting schedule. Scrapped all that and completely reshot it. Oh, so if you're wondering who Eric Stoltz is, do you remember The Prophecy?
Mm-mm.
Fuck, who was in that movie? Christopher Walken was in that movie.
Okay.
There were angels?
No, I remember Mask. I remember what my mom watched that all the time, which made no sense because that's like a super sad movie.
Okay. So, anyway, so if you're wondering, in The Prophecy, there's an angel in the beginning who dies, and that's who Eric Stoltz is, if you're wondering who Eric Stoltz is.
Okay. He was also an Anaconda.
He was an Anaconda. He was also... Well, now I feel like I should... At this point, I feel like I just need to bring up his IMDb at this point. But, no, I mean, like I said, like, it's not that he was a shitty person or anything like that. It's just, he just didn't work.
Yeah. But I love them because, this was what I always love continuity. And like with Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, like they all flow into each other. It's like at the end of the first one, it's like a to be continued kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always love that stuff. Like
at the end of the second one, it was to be concluded.
Yeah. Oh, man. Because like the Batman trilogy, it's a trilogy, but like they all three don't tie into each other like not perfectly.
Obviously. Like, when you're talking like Back to the Future, like one directly follows the other.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's always been kind of like something I love. So I think it'd be great to pick up once a year. Again, these are really like list of things. My kid gets to a certain age, being able to show them. But yeah, Back to the Future is going to be my pick number 3.
So one, of course, Pitch Perfect. Two gets a little kind of
I mean-
especially when like like when Marty and Doc go to 1985 and it's this weird alternate reality that apparently fucking Biff is
yeah, he's like the casino owner and
then it gets
yeah.
like it turns into like this apparently like Hill Valley turns into like fucking Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. The fucking the principals standing out in the front yard with a fucking shotgun.
But I love the tie between the threes though, because like there's the manure company that plays a part in all of them. Oh shit, what's the band that's in all three of them? The guys with the long beards that flip their guitars. ZZ Top. Yeah, they're in all three of them, even back when they're in the Western.
Yeah.
And it's just like I love little Easter egg things too. So, and it's a fun movie. Again, 3 is not the greatest, but it's for trilogies it works. So I would definitely have to go with Back to the Future.
This is the first time, off the top of my head, this is the first time that Spielberg. I mean, Spielberg didn't direct the movie, of course, but this is the first time Spielberg did not use John Williams for the scoring. He had Alan Silvestri.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the scores on that's pretty good too.
Oh my god, the music's amazing. The music, like, I would akin like that Back to the Future theme is on par with Star Wars and Jaws.
There's a lot of music. Iconic moments, like when he's playing the guitar and he finishes and he's like, "Oh well, your kids will love it."
No, not even Marty doing Johnny Be Good, but just the orchestral music, like that. Back to da 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 da. So good. So good.
Was that on your list at all?
It wasn't, but I would definitely sit and watch the first one with you, at least.
But yeah, I'll go with my third pick, Back to the Future.
Okay. All right. Oh god, we're only on number 3, aren't we?
Yeah. Buffy, Back to the Future, and Batman have taken a while to talk about.
Yeah. But they're really good. All right, so I'll try and keep this brief. And this one will actually be easy to keep brief because we don't know that much about it. But I am that confident, Shawn. I am that confident that I would be able to pour hours and hours and hours into this. Shawn, for my 3rd round pick, I'm gonna go because I know it's nowhere on your list. I'm going with Cyberpunk 2077.
Ooh. That's actually kind of a good, that's like an all-in kind of pick, too. Like a going blind, like all in. I don't care what the next card is.
Yeah. Like I said, like I'm pretty confident it's gonna be okay.
I mean, if it's the number of hours like they say, and it's like as customizable as it is, like even if you don't like it, if you can just drive around a town and do stupid stuff like in Grand Theft Auto,
well, and considering
a ton of time.
I just got done last month. I just got done with a playthrough of Witcher 3.
Yeah,
and that game is fucking enormous.
Because you put like over
I put almost 200 hours into that, and I couldn't even tell you what my actual completion is, but I would say it's probably maybe 70%.
And even
if I was to guess,
like if you're trying to figure like amount of time you could put into something, Cyberpunk, you could play it one way as a type of character, start over and like go completely different route. Because there's like 5 or 6 different like setups you can do for your character, right? Like Witcher, you're one thing, you're the Witcher. But in Cyberpunk, you could be more of a hacker. You could be more of a, like a bomb specialist, like more attack. You can, like,
you can shoot stuff and you can shoot and punch stuff, or you can be like a hacker and like hack stuff. All right now, all I'm going off of is just the gameplay footage that CD Projekt Red has put out over the course of the last year, which isn't a lot. We're talking maybe like altogether about like maybe 90 minutes of gameplay footage, and this is like half of that is gameplay from an early build. So
and that was over a year ago too.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, who knows how different everything's going to actually look, but I am that confident, Shawn, that it's going to be good. It's going to be something that if I can pour 200 hours into a game that's 6 years old from this studio, I'm think I'll be okay putting at least that amount of time into something that they put out now.
Yeah,
and they're touting that this is, they're like, we want to make a game that's going to last for years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you don't know the DLC stuff that might be coming.
Oh my God.
I do want to say, so, a future episode is like when you get like 100 or maybe 50 hours into it, like we need to talk about it.
I think we do too.
But that's a good third pick.
September is the day. I should be playing it right now, but they moved it. They pushed it to September, but I'm fine with it.
They've done that for Witcher, and it turned out fine.
They did. So I'm okay.
All right, Richard. For my 4th round pick, I want to go with a Marvel phase. And I want to go with what I think is probably the best phase for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the most recent, and that's Phase 3. Now,
okay, so tell me where Phase 3 starts.
Well, see, I just pulled it up because I know Phase 3, it ended with Far From Home, but Endgame was, that's like a cinematic experience I will never probably ever get again in my life.
Correct.
It was a like 10+ year journey. And I just pulled it up to go through the movies. I didn't realize that Phase 3, it started with Civil War.
Oh, it starts at Civil War.
Starts with Civil War.
Okay.
But there's other great movies in here. Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2.
Homecoming, Ragnarok, Black Panther, which I've just recently watched a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Infinity War is in this.
Right.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is kind of meh. Captain Marvel, not bad.
I think Ant-Man and Wasp right now is on Netflix.
Yeah, I think Infinity War and Endgame might be on Netflix too. I know Endgame is on Disney Plus. Black Panther's on Disney Plus because my son
Black Panther's on Disney Plus. Endgame is on Disney Plus. I think Infinity War, last I remember, Infinity War might be on Netflix.
Yeah, last I checked, but it's been a minute.
Yeah.
But like Civil War, I think is a great movie. I've gone back and watched it a couple times. Guardians 2, I haven't went back and watched that one. Ragnarok is great. Black Panther is amazing. I've rewatched that like 2 or 3
Ragnarok
times.
out of all 3 Thor movies, Ragnarok is hands down my fave.
So I mean, even if you only said like you could pick 3, I'd probably do Civil War.
Ooh, is Iron Man 3 in there?
That was before that.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because you said starts at Civil War.
Because that's what I would just throw away.
Oh, Captain Marvel's in Phase 3.
Yep, Captain Marvel's in Phase 3, which would be. I haven't rewatched that since we saw it in New Jersey. But it's a fun phase. It kind of is the culmination of, like I said, 10 years of all these movies. My favorite phase probably so far. So I'm going to go with MCU Phase 3.
Yeah. Okay. Shawn, it's been a minute, so I need to go ahead and get this out of the way. For people wondering, for my next pick, it's Star Wars, and I'm going with the original trilogy because obviously.
Do you watch the original trilogy every year, or like do you have a time frame when you try to watch it?
It's funny. I do watch the original trilogy every year, but it's not because I'm like, oh God, it's, May 4th. I need to watch all 3 original Star Wars movies. I just end up doing it.
Like,
I'm just like,
you scroll long enough.
Yeah. Like, well, no, it's just kind of one of those things. Like you're like, okay, like this year, like I'm looking at Disney Plus. I'm like, oh, there's New Hope and Empire and Return of the. I'm gonna watch these.
Yeah. I always feel like that's a original trilogy is one that it's always on. I think like it used to be always on like TNT or TBS around Christmas time or Thanksgiving.
I think it's Thanksgiving.
Okay, because
that's either Thanksgiving or New Year's that they run all 3 movies.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's something
now that Disney owns it. I don't know if that's going to be the case.
I know when Disney Plus came out, TBS and them still had them out for something. So they may be running their contract out pretty soon. I'm not sure, but
yeah.
And one of the reasons like I didn't get into Star Wars when I was younger is because at my grandpa's house, those were on and somebody was watching it. Because this would have been like 2 or 3 years after Return of the Jedi,
right?
And they all just like hated it. It's like, oh, they got this stupid sci-fi, space stuff. Because they're more Western cowboy kind of fans.
Sure.
And so I was like, oh, I guess this isn't something you should watch.
Yeah. I feel like where I live, or where you and I live, I feel like that's kind of more the case. Is a lot of people that didn't watch it, or even people that like it now, but didn't watch it when they were younger, was because of that,
Yeah,
and quite the on the opposite side of that coin, the people that did watch it were because their parents really liked it, or
yeah. And nobody in my family was ever really like big into movies, so it wasn't like they liked an occasional Western here or there. So this was just something that was kind of silly and like not up their alley, but. Years later when it comes back, it's like definitely up my alley. So
yeah,
totally love it. That'd be a good one. Like I said, that'd be a good one to have to watch. Maybe you watch one a quarter. So every 3 months you're watching one in that year, which would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And those all play together really well too. Kind of it's probably in between Back to the Future and the Nolan Batman trilogy if we're talking about that. Because each one doesn't butt right next to each other.
No, yeah, you're right. But in a way, it kind of fits because like those movies obviously take time to make, and so when you see the characters later, it looks like it's been later.
Oh yeah.
But
there's not like any crazy like changes. Like the actors aren't changed. They don't look ridiculously too old for where they're at. Like they seem to grow with the characters.
Yes.
I like that. Well, for my 5th round pick, Richard, I'm going to go with another book. And this book's definitely in the top 5 of my books. I've read it once, but I've listened to the audiobook too. I liked it so much that I went out to find a first edition to give to my son. And they just made a movie about it about 2 years ago. And it's the Ernest Cline book, Ready Player One. So, okay. Again, this book has a ton of Easter eggs that Ernest Cline has said that nobody's found all the Easter eggs.
So is that what you're going to spend your time doing? You're going to sit there and be like, well, what about this thing?
What does this mean?
Like even my, knowledge of pop culture, I feel is like doesn't penetrate the depth of that book.
Yeah, you're gonna get,
and I was picking up on stuff like when I was watching the movie with my kids, like I would be like, oh, I know what that means, and then I have to explain it to them.
Well, and the book is, I think, probably more subtle because I'm more of a visual person too. So with the book, you have to it may be a color or maybe a description or something like that you're gonna have to kind of look back over. But I feel like you're gonna be like the guy from Always Sunny with his conspiracy theory board. And you're going to have like all these strings connecting.
Pepe Sylvia.
And you're going to freak yourself out and probably go a little insane. But it's a very inspirational book. It's a book that, is very much like pushing you to achieve the things you want. Because, it's just like the movie. It's this dystopia world where they go to the oasis to get away from all this stuff. And it's a book that I've read once, listened to the audiobook, talking about it now. I'll probably listen to the audiobook again. Because it's narrated by who's the super nerd guy? Not Nerdist, but the guy who does the D&D stuff. He's on Big Bang Theory all the time.
I have no idea. He's on Big Bang Theory. There's a lot of people on Big Bang Theory.
Will Wheaton.
Oh, Will Wheaton does the audiobook?
Yeah, he does the audiobook.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that'd be my 5th round pick would be Ready Player One.
Okay. Number 6. Number 6 is a pick that might actually surprise you.
Number 5.
Oh, well, that's right. My 5. You just did 5. My number 5. It's a pick that might actually surprise you, but it is something
Houston. Whitney Houston.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Now, this is something that I also end up watching at least once a year just because I don't know why. And I'm going to say it and you're going to be like, yeah. Shawn, for my next pick, I'm going with Band of Brothers.
Yes.
Right?
That is... Oof, that's a good pick because
is that not just like fucking pitch perfect fucking television?
Yeah, I mean, what is it? It's
like 7 episodes.
Is it that? I thought it was like 10 or something like that. Because it's a lot of episodes.
Not even that.
But the episode's like an hour and a half, aren't they?
No, yeah, each one's like an hour and a half.
But yeah, it's you're getting there right because where's this? It doesn't start at D-Day, right? Or does it start at D-Day?
It starts before.
Because it's during their like training.
Because they're training in England.
I need to rewatch that. But yeah, that's one that...
See, as soon as I said it, you're like, oh, yeah, I need to rewatch that.
I mean, that's one like Memorial Day or something like that. You just pop that in and watch it because, I mean, and it's so historically accurate too, which when you're talking about things like that, like it's stuff that...
no, you're right. It is 10.
Okay. I thought it was quite a few. But are they only an hour long or does it give you run times?
I have no idea how. I'm trying. I can't find run times right now.
But like even the interview, like if you're a historian, like a history nut,
so good.
They talk to the actual guys, and I mean that was filmed in. Does it give you a year? Was it like 2000?
Yeah, I want to say it was like 2000s.
So I mean,
it aired. Yeah, because it aired in 2001.
Okay, because a lot of those guys that were actually there probably are no longer with us.
Oh yeah.
Point. God, because didn't they all meet once a year?
Something like that, yeah.
And if you ever want to feel like, because you think about like the hardships that those guys had to go through.
Oh, Jesus. The fucking siege at Bastogne.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I mean, even just D-Day itself. I mean, I think Saving Private Ryan was one of those that like showed that like you get kind of unnerved watching it and like people.
Well, and I think that's the thing is, it's like Saving Private Ryan came out and people like really, that movie won Oscars and like everybody really responded to that movie. And so it kind of prompted, HBO to go to Tom Hanks and be like, hey, you did that. You helped work on this, this war movie, could you maybe do a show? And then Tom Hanks is like, hey, well, I've got this idea for these guys. This one guy wrote a book and they're all still alive. So let's do a show about these guys.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, it's such a good show.
It is.
When was the last? Cause like I said, like I always, for some reason I end up like somebody mentions it or something like that. And I'm like, ooh, I need to watch that again. And then it always happens at least like one, it always ends up happening like once a year. I'm like, I just like tangentially, I'm like, I have to go watch that.
I think I watched it back when Netflix actually sent DVDs and that's how I end up finishing it.
Oh, okay.
In high school, we watched a couple like bits of it, like, maybe an hour or two all together. So then when I moved, from college, so it's been like 08, 09, I started getting the DVDs from Netflix for it to watch.
Okay.
But yeah, that's something I need to go back and watch through because
it's so good.
Only because I tried to get through the Pacific, which I think I got through like 2 or 3 episodes.
Everybody, they're like, oh, if you like Band of Brothers, you like the Pacific. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like
the Pacific's like, so with Band of Brothers, you kind of follow everybody through. So like there are people who, who get shot or leave and everything.
Yeah.
Pacific, it's like nobody makes it.
Yeah.
Because that was like it's like, okay, well, we're going, on this island and we're all the bad guys. Oh, they're underneath us. And the only recent, it's got a very Band of Brothers feel. Like it's shot in kind of the same historical way, but it's just different. The only other movie that kind of made me feel like that, because I feel like war movies a lot of times kind of go like way too far to the side of, like Disney-fied is the best way to put it. It's very clear who the bad guys are and like the good guys win. Right. And like, there's not really any like weird, like they have like the, oh my gosh, like, we're out of gas. Oh, but the dragon brought it for us, stuff like that. But what gave me a Band of Brothers feel was the new movie Midway that came out, I think last year.
Yeah. I watched bits and pieces of that, but I haven't sat and watched it start to finish.
Yeah, it kind of feels like you're watching a documentary more than a movie.
Okay.
Which with historical things, that's what I like, because there's nothing more annoying to me than like you watch something and be like, oh my gosh, that must have been what happened. And they're like, no, it's not. Like, that's completely 100% false. You're like,
yeah,
all right. But good pick. I like that pick.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, as soon as I say it, you're going to be like, yeah, I haven't watched that in a minute. I should go. I need to watch it right now.
All right. So for my 6th round pick, I feel like I need a little bit of music in my life. And I'm going to have to go with the very first CD that really kind of captured my musical taste. And I'm going to go with Papa Roach's Infest. It's their first album from 2000. One of the first albums I ever bought on my own. I think I bought Matchbox 20s was my first album.
Ooh,
but
you just admitted that online.
Oh, Matchbox 20, the first one's not bad. 3 a.m. Push, like it's like epitome of 90s rock, like mid 90s rock.
Yeah,
Dude, they're still around.
That statement is not wrong.
But you know, this is an album that I remember listening to, and there's not a single song on it that I don't like. Every album since there's kind of one or two that I'm like, I'll skip that one. It's got a great hidden track on it. You know, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's my cup of tea. And if I can only listen to one album, there's another one on my list I'm not going to pick. It might be close to that, but I feel like this is the one that I could definitely listen to all the time. So kind of short and sweet, but my 6th round pick, I'm going to go with Papa Roach's Infest.
All right. Let's see. Let's see. Now it's getting hard. Because now it's like, oh, what do I include? Oh,
Bambi.
Bambi. Just not the first one though. Bambi 2.
Yep. If you're trapped on an island, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna kill that crab, and then you watch
The
Bambi.
Lion King, Simba's Pride.
Oh, there you go.
No, Shawn. For my pick number 6. I'm going to go. Ooh, see, because now you said music, and then that's got me thinking about music. It's hard. I gotta bite the bullet on something. Fuck. You know what? For my 6th pick, I'm gonna go with the Lord of the Rings. But what I want the DVDs, and I want the extended editions. I want the extended edition DVDs. And here's why. Because not only do I get the movie, you know, the extended cut of the movie, which, I mean, like my daughter was talking to me the other day because she was watching them again. And she was like, she's like, when I was a kid, when I was little, I mean, you know, she's a kid to me, she's 20, but when she was little, you know, she was like, obviously I didn't watch, the original Star Wars movies when I was a little kid. Well, she's like, I did, but that's because you made me, which I did. I totally did. But she was like, these movies came out right at that age for me that like this is like my Star Wars. Like that's how she feels about it, like they came out right around the, that formative age time. It was like a big deal. She went to the theater. She sat and watched the movies. And so I get the movie. I get the extended cut of the movie. But not only that, but I get the extras on the DVDs, which each, if you want to make a DVD, like we were talking earlier about DVD purchases, if you want to actually go and buy DVDs, go and buy the Lord of the Rings extended cut collector's edition DVDs, because I did, and I love all 3 of them. I mean, all said, it's 4 discs. The number of hours, how many is it for the movie? It's 4 DVDs. Stuff? So there's the movie, and then each movie comes with 2 discs of special features that total, like, I think it's like 6 hours of documentaries a piece. Yeah, because I know like Kevin Smith has all those like commentary on his stuff. Well, that's the thing with the movie. You get a director's There's a director's commentary. There's a cast commentary. There's a visual effects commentary. There's a commentary with just the writing team. So it's just the director and the 2 writers. And it's just them doing a commentary track where they're talking about the book and how they arrange the story compared to the way the book is.
That's got to be so. And I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan, mainly because I tried to watch the first one like 3 times. And every time I stopped watching it, like it was like 10 minutes left, but I didn't know it. And so when I finally sat and like, I'm finishing this motherfucker, like I get to like, okay, this is where I always stop. And it's like 10 minutes later. I'm like, well, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it after that. Although I don't know if I've seen all 2 and 3 now that I think about it.
Oh my God, the opening to Two Towers. Honestly, out of the 3, Two Towers is probably my favorite. The opening to Two Towers, where it's Gandalf and the Balrog and they're falling down the chasm together and they're fighting.
Yeah.
And he's all like, fuck you from Hell's Heart, I stab at thee. And he's like, oh, it's great.
Because that's where he levels up. It's like, oh, I took all the XP from you.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, that'd be like you'd have tons of entertainment at that point with something like that.
I got hours with that.
So how long do you think you'd watch the movies first, or how long before you would actually get to watching the movies? Do you think you'd try to get through all the special?
I would go through all the special features because honestly, like those are way more. For me, they're more interesting to the movie. They do one where they just show like the fucking giant ass miniatures they build.
Oh, that's gotta be cool because there's
for all like the sets and everything.
It's a majority practical effects, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, a lot of the like the army animations and stuff like that, but and honestly, what they did a lot of is they would shoot these miniatures. They would build these like Rivendell or Saruman's Tower Ulthanc. They would build these giant models at like 1/32 scale. So you're talking about, instead of a tower that's, 1,000 feet high, but it's still like, 15, like, 10, 15 feet high.
Yeah.
And the reason they would make these giant miniatures was because you could go into such detail, because since you're dealing with a larger scale, you could go into detail that it actually holds up when the camera closes up on it.
Oh, yeah.
So what they would do is they would shoot the stuff practically, and then they would grade it digitally. So basically it's a practical shot with a digital overlay on top of it. So the film looks seamless.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about that stuff. Cause like the original Star Wars kind of holds up, I think, better than, you think the the prequel trilogy. Like CGI, I feel like it doesn't hold up for very long.
It's definitely getting better.
Yeah,
but it's still.
We were saying that in the like early or late 90s, early 2000s. It's like, oh, it looks so much better, but it just takes that next leap where you're like, well, that looks like shit. It's like video games, It's like, this looks so real. All women have pointy boobs.
I would say the benchmark, for a lot of people was Jurassic Park. I would say Jurassic Park still holds up effects wise to, if you're just talking. And the funny thing is there actually weren't that many special effects shots in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, they're mostly all practical. Like the T-Rex was a big T-Rex. All the things were like animatronic type stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. I like that one. For my 7th round money shot pick, Richard, this one's just for me. Nobody, I think, in the world is going to enjoy this. I think everybody's forgot about this year. Like, even whenever they're on ESPN, they're like, the championships of Chicago, and they always leave this on. I've got the DVD set, Richard, and this is what I want. It is the 2005 World Champion White Sox Championship run. You get the final game of the ALDS. You get the final game of the ALCS, and you get
how many games did they go to in the series?
They swept the Astros in 4.
Oh wow!
So They swept Boston in 3 games. They only lost 1 game in that playoff run, which was in the ALCS to the Angels. So they lost the first game, but then they won the next 4, and then they swept the World Series.
Okay. How favored were they?
They were the number, like record wise, they were the number one team going into the playoffs, but like nobody had picked them that year.
Okay.
It's really cool because when I look back at that year, you know, I watched a lot of baseball. Like I feel like my baseball like starting point when I actually paid attention was 2000. Because before then, like we had the channels, but I wasn't really old enough to like pay attention and understand a lot of it. So like, you know, I'd watch a game here or there, but 2000, I figured out we had the channel that had the White Sox. So I watched all of 2000, and every year after that, I watched quite a bit. But in 2005, my dorm room had the channel. So I watched a bunch of games, and then I worked at the sports bar.
Right.
And so I was able to set up my table so that like I had like 2 or 3 TVs with the game on. So I could constantly kind of peek up and watch. And, you know, whenever you have a few minutes downtime, I could look up and see what was going on. So that year I got to watch like every game pretty much.
Nice.
And so it was, you know, it's kind of like one of those things where, you know, if your team wins the championship, but the only games you watch are the championships, it's kind of like you feel like a bandwagon fan. But when I watched that whole season, I felt like a really big part of like it was a big investment on my part by watching all that.
I gotcha.
And so this would get me, you know, if I can't watch live sports or anything with this minimalist entertainment, I at least would have that. And, you know, it was a fun ride. It takes me back to my college dorm room. You know, game 4 when they won out, I jumped out of my dorm room and there was a guy like half the hallway down who was a Sox fan too. And we're, you know, pumping fists at each other. So all those memories would come flooding back. So a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of sports, and it's my team. So for my 7th round money shot pick, it's going to be the 05 White Sox championship run.
All right, Shawn. So you gave yourself a bit of a selfish pick. For my pick, I'm more of a giver for my pick. If you're going to allow me, I'm going to pick 3 books. It's a set of books.
You're going to pick some books?
I am.
All
it's
right.
a set of books.
Goosebumps, 1 through 3.
I like that look on your face when I said I was going to pick books. Shawn, for my 7th round pick, I'm going with the 5th edition Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master Guide, and Monster Manual.
That's not bad. That's actually kind of a good idea because, you know, it's
because this way I get to entertain myself and others, and I can entertain myself and others for hours and hours.
Oh, and could you, like, if you're, let's say you're living in a world without computers, so you have these 3 books, and it's like you have to go and do all this stuff by hand.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a very minimalist place because, you know, those books, like you have advanced player guides and, you know, all these other things. It's like, no, it's just the specific place, these specific pieces.
When I first started playing, I didn't know that they had published adventures.
Oh yeah.
So like all I had were those 3 books. You know, when Dungeons and Dragons first came out, there was a player's guide, and you know they weren't even books; they were, you know, leaflets, they were pamphlets. But there was a player's guide, and then there was a monsters and treasure guide. So when Advanced Dungeons and Dragons came out, you had the player's handbook, the Dungeon Master Guide, and the Monster Manual. So you had those 3 books, and from those 3 books, you could pretty much figure out, you could extrapolate anything you want based on those 3 books. And honestly, I would say now you would probably really only need the player's guide and the monster manual, because the Dungeon Master's Guide is more of a,
isn't it more like training to be a DM?
Yeah, it's more of a, like, you know, like tools and tips. It's not necessary. It's not, I would say it's probably it's less necessary now than it was then, because then, you know, the Dungeon Master's Guide had all the tables for, like, you know, to hit and percentages on finding treasure and stuff like that. So back then it was way more necessary. But Shawn, from those 3 books, you can extrapolate pretty much anything you want. So
you said you would go with fifth edition, not 3.5?
I would go with 5th. I like the direction fifth is going in. I know they're working on some new stuff now, which it looks like they're working a bit more close. They're working super closely with Critical Role.
Oh yeah.
And they're putting out and I guess they're collaborating and putting out some stuff together.
Kind of making it more so people can do the online thing.
Yeah. So there's that. I know the PC game Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be out.
Is that 5th edition based, or is it?
That's 5th edition based, yeah.
And even with that, like, let's say you get that and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of tired of, I guess what would you call like D&D role playing? Like what genre would you put that in?
Tabletop.
Well, I mean, kind of like with like Lord of the Rings style. What would you call that? I guess.
Oh, high fantasy.
Like high fantasy. Like you're like, oh my God, I'm kind of tired of high fantasy. Like, okay, we'll tweak some of these things a little bit, make up your own weapons, and hey, guess what? Now we're in a zombie apocalypse world based off these rules.
Yeah. Oh, let's, instead of, let's, you can tweak it a little bit, and hey, now you got guns.
Yeah, exactly.
And tweak it a little more. Hey, now you got space guns.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we want to do kind of a ninja, feudal Japan type thing. Okay, well, these are the classes you can play, and this is the skills you can use.
Yeah.
That's what I love about tabletops. I mean, we've done numerous shows on it, but tabletopping is you basically can make anything you want up, and the camaraderie, the fun, the friendships that you get from it. Well, that's a great.
This way, I can be on a desert island with friends.
Yeah, and I guess you wouldn't have dice, so I guess that's the part that.
Oh shit. That's easy enough. I take a coconut, I carve some numbers into it.
I feel like you've just put yourself in the Twilight Zone episode where it's the man who can read.
The guy that breaks his glasses.
Why? That's a great pick, though. I mean, they always come with like dice, right? We'll say. I mean, it's just like tabletop. We'll make it up. Yeah.
The beginner's box, I think. The original beginner's box, I think, came with like like one of each. So a D4, a D6, a D8, and a D20. Or it was like a 4, 6, 8, 10, 20.
So what did you have for some of your ambuts?
For some of my ambuts, I had season 6 of Doctor Who, which is Matt Smith with Amy Pond and Rory Williams. I liked some of the David Tennant stuff, but the Matt Smith stuff kind of, had a bit more feel good in there for me. So I had that in there. I had a couple other video games. I had Skyrim in there, but that one was kind of like, I feel like I've played that one out. That's the hard thing with video games is like, once you play, like I said earlier, like I put 200 hours in The Witcher 3. Would I go back to it? Maybe to finish up some stuff, but I wouldn't get near as much enjoyment out of it as if I, knew nothing about it and started completely from scratch. Everything else was just kind of like, it's there.
Gotcha.
Like I had some, like some of the Marvel stuff, like the Phase 1 Marvel was in there.
Yeah. I feel like Phase 3 is kind of, if I had to pick one, like that's why I picked it. But like Phase 1 is good because it kind of kicks you up. But
Phase 1 had Iron Man and the Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be okay. I think if you couldn't have
Phase 1 also had the Hulk
and Iron Man 2.
And Iron Man 2.
I think it had Iron Man 3 too, actually. I think
Iron Man 3 was after the Avengers. Was after the first one. Iron Man 3 was. Iron Man 1 and 2 are in Phase 1, but Iron Man 3 was a Phase 2.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 kicked off Phase 2.
Because remember in Iron Man 3 suffering from all that PTSD from the Avengers.
That's right. For my and buts, these are 3 that were really close to getting picked. Walking Dead Compendium 1. So that is the first 50 issues of the Walking Dead comic series. Takes place from, when they first meet the governor to let's see, I think, that's the prison. I think it's right up to the point where they get out of the prison. I can't remember, but it's really good. Dexter season 4. This is the Trinity one with John Lithgow. One of the greatest season finales that I've ever seen.
Okay.
Did not,
which is interesting considering that Dexter, I think, is widely regarded as having one of the worst series finales.
Yeah. Although, spoilers a little bit, but somebody told me that, I guess, have you seen the series finale?
No, I haven't watched any of it. No.
If anybody has watched it, and they're like, that sucked. DM us because I will give you a theory or a thought that actually made the series finale better, in my opinion.
Okay.
So DM our account and I'll tell you that.
Okay.
And then my final, and this one you might give me a little smack about, but for some reason I absolutely love this album. And it takes me back to riding in with the truck with Dad or hanging out in the garage with my dad. It's the Boston album, the first Boston album.
You know what? No, I will not, because that guy made that entire album in his basement that's one guy.
Oh, was it really?
Made that whole album in his basement on two 4-track machines.
I didn't know that.
No, the only reason. Okay, so here, a little interesting bit of music history. The first two Boston albums, that's one guy that made all that music, played all those instruments. It wasn't until the songs were a hit and he went to start touring that he put together a band. The only reason he put together a band was to tour the music that he made.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. It's a great album.
It's one guy. That's crazy. Fucking crazy.
Yeah. Love that one.
Boston. Yes.
Like Foreplay Long Time. Like that's like an 8-minute song.
Yeah.
Peace of Mind. Like when I was like in between like college and working, like, man, is this what I want to do? I play that. I'm like, no, it's not what I want to do, but here I am. But yeah, that was my other but.
Yeah.
Well, let me run through these picks real quick for our 55th Minimalist Entertainment Draft. For my first pick, I had the TMT Season 1. Second round pick, Ice and Fire book series. Third round pick, Back to the Future. Fourth round pick, MCU Phase 3. Fifth round pick, Ready Player One book. Sixth round pick, Papa Roach Infest. And my number 7 money shot pick, the 2005 the White Sox World Series Championship Run DVD set. For Richard, first round pick, Buffy Season 5. Second round pick, Nolan Batman Trilogy. Third round pick, the unreleased so far, Cyberpunk 2077. Fourth round pick, Star Wars Original Trilogy. Fifth round pick, Band of Brothers. Sixth round pick, Lord of the Rings DVD Extended Edition. And seventh round money shot pick, Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition DM Player's Handbook and Monster Manual.
Yeah.
Well, Richard, do you have any closing thoughts on our Minimalist Entertainment Draft?
I win everything, and there's some entertainment that stands the test of time. And it's more moments in your own, and it has to do more with moments in your own life, I would say, rather than necessarily the medium.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Even though there's so much content, you could probably still break it down to 7 things that would make you happy to watch over and over and over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Visit our website. We're at languageofbromance.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at languageofbro. Email us at bros@languageofbromance.com. You can like us on Facebook. And remember, there's a couple ways to help support the show. You can always spread the bromance by liking, retweeting, or sharing our show on Reddit. And you can also pick up some LOB merchandise at the T Public Store. And if you want to take an even bigger step and help us, you can join our Patreon accounts, patreon.com/languageofbromance. As you know, we pay for all this show out of pocket. So by joining, you will help us kind of save on some of those costs that it takes and help us keep the show ad free. And we always want to thank our patrons, Wendy and Aaron.
Love you guys.
All right. Was there anything else before I close her out?
No. No, wait. It was 2 guys in Boston. Eric or Tom Schultz Schultz played all the instruments on the demo except for the drums.
Well, Richard, as I'm taking my time and moving along, you'll forget about me after I've been gone.
You'll forget about me after
I'm telling you, you put that in, you can listen to that whole album.
That's
good.
yeah,
It's only like 8 songs
stuff.
too. All right, well, that's all the Bromance we have for this show. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Richard.
And remember, don't be a why.
Be a why not.